Hello, everybody. My name is Elena, and I have been vegan for 10 years. In fact, today marks my 10th vegan anniversary. So I decided to take a moment to record this video and share my vegan journey with you and tell you what made me decide go plant-based, vegan, cruelty-free. There are many words, many definitions. But yes, so where to start? 10 years, that's been a long time. It's been a journey for me. And to be totally honest with you, I would have never, ever thought I would ever be a vegan. This was for me nothing that I chose consciously. It wasn't that one day I said, oh, tomorrow I'm going to be vegan. Not at all. Not at all. So let me go back, way back. I was born and raised in Germany. As most people know, Germany has a reputation of being a meat-loving country and culture. And although a lot of things are changing these days, that has been the case in the past. And this is how I grew up. It was normal to eat meat, cold cuts, all sorts of things. This is how I was raised. This is how my parents were raised, all my brothers and sisters. But my first conscious memory of my struggle with that goes back to my teenage years. And at the time, it was very common that the main meal in a German family was lunch right after school had ended, which was usually around 1. Kids came home, and then the family, at least the mother with the kids, in my case, my mother, had the family family lunch together. And a typical German meal consisted of some sort of meat, potatoes, some sort of veggies, and in our case, we always had like a salad of some sort. And I remember when I must have been about 13, maybe 13, 14, and we were having lunch as usual, and I was chewing on this piece of meat. Don't remember what type it was. Maybe, chicken, turkey. I don't remember, but I do remember that I was chewing on this piece of meat and that I could not swallow it. It just, something had blocked my throat and I could not swallow it, but I made myself swallow it anyway. And it kept happening and happening. But somehow, I don't know, this was nothing to be conscious of at this point. So I kind of ignored it and it went away. Then I had a boyfriend years later who was a vegetarian at the time, a very convinced vegetarian. And at this time, again, we're talking about what, 1999 here. I was not aware of any of this. So the more he tried to guilt trip me, the more I would shut down. He would put little postcards of pigs in front of my plate, saying, oh, this is what you eat. And stupid, yet at the time, at my evolution stage, that's how I responded. I refused to listen to what he had to say, and I started eating more meat. And only from then on, I was really eating a lot of meat, and I thought I enjoyed it. And this went on and on and on and on for years. So now fast forward to the year 2013, I was overweight. Wouldn't say obese, but pretty overweight. And I struggled a lot with allergies, lots of allergies. And I came in contact with an Ayurvedic nutritionist because of my allergies. And she suggested to me to leave out any dairy products, which I was consuming a lot of dairy at that time, especially in coffee drinks. Almost all my coffee drinks were with milk, yogurts, cheeses, all these things. And she suggested to just, in an ideal world, completely leave them out, but at least reduce. And I did, because I wasn't feeling well. So I went cold turkey with dairy and gave it a try. And within days, I felt major improvements, major improvements. And so I saw no reason to go back to having dairy, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm no more dairy for me. I would still, when I was out and about, have the occasional cheese or whatever. But I had reduced drastically. And then I went on a trip to Hawaii. This was a very difficult phase in my life. And this was a trip to, that I was hoping to get more clarity and to find myself and purpose and all these things. And during this trip, I realized how my body was changing and how it started refusing all the things that I used to love. But I could no longer order it. Or even if I ordered it, I could no longer eat it. Hawaii isn't a very dairy heavy place to begin with. So there's a lot of coconut milk and stuff. But meats, fish was a little different at the time. But day by day, I could tell my body doesn't want it anymore. And then 4 weeks. No, I spent 4 weeks on Hawaii, on the island of Hawaii. And afterwards, when I came home, I was invited to a friend's wedding. And at this wedding, they were serving different kinds of dishes, but they had all meat in them. And I remember exactly chewing on a piece of chicken because, it was a wedding and they had catered for nice food and there was no meatless options. So I was chewing on this piece of chicken, and while I was chewing it, I remembered my 14-year-old self or 13-year-old self that sat at this table and didn't want to swallow this piece of meat. And I said to myself, this is it. This is the last piece of meat I will ever eat. And it was the last piece of meat I ever ate. So this is 10 years ago. And as you can tell, none of this was conscious. None of this was a planned decision. In fact, at that point, if you would have asked me, do you like animals? I would have said yes, but I was not thinking about ethics in this scenario at this moment in time. And it was mostly health motivated for me, starting with dairy, the immediate benefits, and later on, well, if you see pictures of me back then, I lost about 30 kilos within 9 months, I would say, after I went vegan. And yeah, so that's been 10 years ago. And why am I sharing this story? It's because it's a process, okay? For me, there are many definitions of being vegan. There are many reasons why people go vegan. For me, it started because of my health. But once I stopped eating meat, I was able to look at the entire topic from a different point of view. I was able to look at the things that before I wouldn't have looked at because I wasn't ready, willing, or able to do that. But since I was no longer in this system, I could look at it. And the more I learned, the more I read about the treatment of animals, what happens to these animals, how much they're suffering. There were just so many more reasons that came out every single day that now I have a million. And health, yes, still is one of the reasons. But for me, at this point, there is no choice. For me, being vegan does not mean I have a diet. No, it's a way of life. And for me, it's a way of love and respect for all life, for all beings. And yeah, so again, why am I sharing this? Because I thought a 10-year veganversary is a good opportunity to do so. And many people have asked me about my journey and what made me go vegan. But also, I want to tell you that people who meet me now, for them, I'm the strict vegan. Some might call me the militant vegan. I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't care. For me, it's my choice, my lifestyle. And there's no way I can ever see myself consciously consume an animal product again. But from my story, I think it's clear that this is not how it started. And even a day before I made this decision. If you would have asked me, so what do you think about going vegan? I would have probably laughed in your face because this was not an option for me. I could not see how I could do that. So if my 10-year ago self could do it, you can do it too if you want to. And so many people tell me, oh, I could never live without cheese. I could never live without milk. Yes, you can. You can do that just fine. And in fact, 10 years ago, I was living without cheese because the cheese alternatives that they had 10 years ago, they tasted like this piece of cardboard, to be honest. And I said, no, thank you. I'd rather just eat something else. But nowadays, there's so many alternatives for cheeses, for all kinds of things. Not necessarily, I mean, those are artificial products too. So maybe that's not the most healthy choice as well, to constantly eat these processed things. I'm not promoting that, but there are options, especially when you're transitioning. And really your brain changes, your taste changes. Nowadays, I could never eat the things I loved 10 years ago. So it's a process and it's doable. If there's a little tiny voice inside you wondering whether you could do it, I'm telling you, yes, you can. Just give it a try. And not everybody can do it the way I did it. I mean, yes, I cut out dairy a little earlier, but more or less I went cold cut, like literally overnight. That's not everybody's path. I know many people who couldn't do it that way. But if that's not you, just take little tiny baby steps. Try replacing things. Try something new. Start with one meal a day. Maybe the breakfast is the easiest thing to veganize. Everything is easy to veganize, but it's a process. I said that many times already, I know, but it is. And really, for me in the beginning, I felt like probably a lot of people feel when they make this decision, like, what am I going to eat now? 33 years of my life, I had been conditioned to eat animal products. I wasn't a big cook at the time, but I realized, like, what's left? There's so much left. I've discovered new realms of food and ingredients that I had no idea that existed before. So I started to get curious. I started to research, to explore, to be creative. I learned how to cook. And now I love cooking. I love creating new dishes and just be playful with it. And it's just, in the beginning, it takes a little bit of engagement. I don't want to call it work, but once it clicks, your life is going to be so much easier and better for all beings on this planet. And yeah, so this is my story. Maybe it will inspire a person, one person at least on this globe. Then I'm happy. Even if it doesn't, I'm happy. But if you need any inspiration, any help, please feel free to drop a comment below or shoot me an email. I will link to my little vegan blog below. So I hope you're having a lovely rest of the day. I will enjoy my vegan anniversary a little longer, and I will talk to you soon.